Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mr. Clark After Dark. Today I have on a dear friend, Ben Simmons. Ben was actually part of the recent national championship run with the Keyano Huskies here in Fort McMurray. On this episode, him and I discuss this national championship run with the ACAC, and I tell my equivalent story of running in the 5th grade with the Sister Mary Phillips Saints and winning the city championship. He talks about overcoming the Kryptonite of SAIT this year, the jump for athletes from the ACAC to the CIS, me helping one of his teammates with their essays, his experience playing with York University, opportunities for basketball overseas after college or university, how development for basketball players is different in Europe versus the United States and Canada, if he is better than his brother Jacob, who is also a dear friend of mine, his experience with his mom getting sick and how that contributed to his test anxiety at a very young age, and much more. Thank you all for tuning in and hope you enjoy the show.
Just the boys chatting just like we used to do in the library, man.
Library.
We were literally talking about that today because we were talking about the podcast and we were just like, man, those days you're just playing sorry, just chatting it up. Like, man, life was just so simple then, man. You're really just cooling.
It really was.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, sorry. What a game. And it was really just like no kids will play with us.
No, we were literally just like, go read. Go read. We'll just chill here.
Play those games.
Yeah.
And you know what? Education's very similar. Like a little bit
so?
kind of like like a little bit of a, like you kind of can create that same atmosphere.
Yeah.
A little bit, like if you want. But I guess to give you a formal introduction here. So today, thank you for coming on today, Ben.
Of course. I'm excited.
We have a star-studded basketball star here today, as well as his good friend, Ben, coming on. I worked on that one all morning. Defending championship, Keyano Huskies. Walk me through Keyano taking the dub here recently.
Okay, so not defending yet.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Going into the year we were being chased. Yes.
Man, so this championship run was not expected. I mean expected but a lot of hate, a lot of doubt, I think, because.
So from who?
I just think from the league,
okay.
Because we've been good and we've kind of our coach Jeremy, he's built like a very good culture here.
Yeah, and
we play a certain style that's very like confident. We're athletic. We're big. We play very confidently, and I don't know. A lot of people have wanted to see us lose, and we have been losing. So when my brother played here his senior year, that was 2 years ago, we lost in the finals. So we got silver at the provincials. So that was the first one. And then last year we were ranked number 1 in the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
So we went 2 years straight of going undefeated. Just didn't lose a game. We only lost in playoffs.
And you're playing here the whole time? How long have you been playing for Keyano?
2 years.
2 years?
So last year was my first year. It was my rookie year.
Okay.
But man, with COVID and stuff, it's been like a long story.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so so last year we lost in the semis to SAIT, same team.
Yeah.
And we had the player of the year. We had like a big that was super talented. Yeah. All 5th years. We lost like one of our point guards too, super talented. And we were always we were the team. We had the complete package. It was almost like they're too good kind of thing. So, and then we lost last year and everybody was like, damn. And now we lose our main guys. Okay. And now it's like Keyano's done, right?
Yeah, okay,
we're kind of like the rebuild, right? When they lose when you lose your stars, everybody's like, they're kind of out. So we have to kind of bring in a whole new identity, bring in some new pieces. Yeah. And we lose in preseason, like roles are kind of getting shifted around. It's shaky. We're like first semester, we're barely beating teams. And this is coming off of 2 straight years of like,
being
we're
number
talking,
1. Yeah.
Like I'm talking like handily beating teams, like 20, 30 points. Wow. Right. Like other than like a couple games, but dominating. Yes. Dominating. Yeah. And now it's like, Keyano, then second semester rolls around and we lose to SAIT again in season. And we lose to St. Mary's, and those were the top 2 teams in the South Conference.
Okay, yeah.
So after we did that, that was second semester, I think that was 2 weekends before going into the playoffs. So everybody was like, Keyano's kind of down and out. Like, like this is what we've expected.
Yeah.
And we never really had like a click.
Yeah.
Where it just kind of all started. We were playing the way we were supposed to be playing and all that. And then basically we kind of just locked in, and the playoffs were here. In at Keyano, and that was the first time we've had that in forever, and we had always played in Calgary and lost in Calgary, so this was the first time those boys had to come up to the north. And let me tell you, man, it's different. Like playing in Keyano is just different. It's like we've got like I
love the court.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's so nice.
And just like playing in it's a weird like venue, because like playing in basketball, like if you play in like more of an open area, right, like having it's weird, like depth perception, right? Like there's no back to the wellness center, right? Like there's like when those nets are down, it's deep on both sides, right? Yeah. Whereas if you play in a regular gym, it's smaller.
That's true.
It's a very open setting. And our crowd
that's why I like it.
Yeah, it's and the gym is beautiful. Like Keyano's facility is
it's great.
Top for like a college, is absolutely insane. But playoffs coming, we had the hardest playoff run because we had to beat SAIT.
So who are the best teams? SAIT and St. Mary's are kind of, I know SAIT's always kind of been good.
South is generally the stronger division. They're like they always got some really like very talented players on a lot of the teams. Like Red Deer was also very talented this year. But SAIT and St. Mary's was number one in the South and number one in our conference, and then SAIT was number two, and they're always good. And our playoff was you have to get through SAIT to go to the finals, and then it was Lakeland versus St. Mary's, and it was whoever won that game. St. Mary's ended up winning, but it was that first game of like we got to beat SAIT, which was kind of like it's that demon on your back, like.
SAIT's always been the enemy.
Well, man, they've won 6 years straight. And they just won a national championship last year.
And so I guess I remember when I watched Jacob play once, there's a guy who played for SAIT who was like 30 years old. Like, because I know, like, what I guess my first question would be like, how does it's the ACAC, right? Yeah. How does that differ from like U Sport? Like, is it like pretty like similar level? Like how would you, I guess, describe, is there a jump? Is it just kind of like a different
There's a
stream?
jump. Yeah. Our talent, like the top teams of the ACAC. Yeah. Like we can play U Sports. Yes. Like last year we played in a U Sports tournament and we won. Oh, okay. So like we can compete 100%. Yeah. There's obviously the top programs of the U Sport that would be tough to compete with.
100%. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But the jump, I would say, is, I mean, it's obviously probably a bit bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Just like overall,
more talented and like way more structured in the way they play. Like,
what do you mean by structure?
Structured is when you play, like we played Alberta.
Are you doing like triangle offense? Like what?
Yeah. I mean, like they have their offenses, but like it's just like everything's sharp.
Okay.
Everything is like
crisp,
they all like, do you know, like making reads? Like in basketball?
Yeah.
Okay, so making a read is just kind of like, pick and roll?
Yes.
Pick and roll. So, right? So
we did win the grade 5 championship here.
Okay.
So like I have some experience.
I saw that Steph Curry 3.
Dude, man. That's the only basketball one I'll ever have. Just a quick, I think I took like 8 shots after that. None of them cashed. But that was the first shot of the game. So I walked in, I was just like, and just nailed it. I was like, I should have just got off after that. But that was it was pretty good.
Yeah, you're like, this is about to be my day.
I think this is my day.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Reads, pick and roll. Yeah.
Right. So like making reads is basically just making kind of a decision, the right decision, you could say. Yeah. So coming off a pick and roll, hitting the right guy, the right like option. Yeah. In U Sports, that's like, it's most of the time is they're always making the right reads. Everybody is. There are just
fewer mistakes.
The IQ is there. The coaching's better, but like top teams like St. Mary's, SAIT, Red Deer, like all the top teams in the ACAC can compete in U Sports. I believe. Mm-hmm. Some people might have other opinions, but for sure, I mean, we competed and we won a U Sports tournament last year. So
yeah, and so who did you play in that U Sports tournament?
We played youth.
Like, why was there a tournament that had ACAC teams with U Sports? Like, what was the point of that?
So like, my
was it just beefing? Like,
no, my coach is just like
it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And that's why he wanted it, because he knew we were going to be very good that year. He knew we were going to be top dog. We had like the best player in the country. We had like probably the best big in the country. Yeah. And like he was like, I want challenge right away. So we played like Alberta in like a kind of like just a scrimmage, not really a full game. Yeah, U of A. We played at U of A, and we got absolutely smoked because they were really good. And
it's also the beginning of the year.
Yeah, exactly. It was our first game playing against a squad like that. Is just like, you're just asking for it, which is what he wanted doing that. So going to this U Sports tournament, not a lot of people thought like we were. But like Keyano
ended up winning it,
we just like wanted smoke, and like a lot of people were just like, and you go there, and like at the end of the day, it's like basketball. Like in the March Madness, do you watch any March Madness?
I actually forgot to put it in my pool this year, but I did see that guy from Oakland yesterday put up like 32. It's like to just 10 3-pointers.
Yeah, like so that's the thing is like Oakland versus Kentucky. Like Kentucky is literally
prestige, right?
Yeah, literally like those guys are going to go to the NBA and make millions of dollars.
Like they're top 5.
Top NBA basketball players in college. Yeah, that's and that's just the way it is. Yeah. And that guy in the interview after he just cooked them was like, hey, I know those guys are going to the NBA, but like on any given day, he's just said on any given day, I know I can compete. And like,
I like that.
Like, and it's true, man. Like if you just like, or if you really have that mentality of just like, I can compete with these guys, like, and that's just like, I think the teams that we were going to play were like, this is a preseason tournament. We're playing a college. They're probably like, they play colleges too, and they usually smoke them, but I don't think they realize like, we got some dogs on our team, like these guys are like, our team last year was extremely talented, and our team this year was still very talented, but we had the player of the year last year. So
who was the player of the year?
Sean Clancy.
Okay. There was a guy on your team who actually messaged me. I don't know if you know this. Is it Michi?
Oh, yeah. Meech. He messaged you?
Well, so like part of the podcasting, I'd go through like education, like let's say it was like the Keyano education department or like the U of A education or U of C education. And I would go to like their list of who's following them. And I would just follow them, just trying to like grow my profile kind of thing, whatever. And I think I followed him. I guess he was following one of the pages that I was following. And then all of a sudden I saw he was posting like Keyano stuff. I was like, oh yeah, like right on. And he messaged me. I guess he was doing like social studies 30-1.
Oh, no way.
Like through upgrading or whatever. And he's like, man, I think it's just like a crazy coincidence, but like, can you please tell me what this essay? I was like, sure. I was like, I'll do whatever.
No way.
And then he's like, what grade would you give this? So I looked through his essay and I kind of gave him a mark. I was like, I was kind of being a little bit nice. I was like, I'd probably give like a 70, 75. He's like, yeah, my professor gave it a 63. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, that's probably where I'd actually mark it. That was the only message that we exchanged, but nice guy.
No, Meech is awesome. He's like, he kind of took over the team this year, leadership wise, and he was probably one of the big reasons why we were successful this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious that he like just anyway. But so you go to U Sports, you lose to U of A, but like how's the rest of that tournament?
So that tournament, how that played out. Yeah. So man, that was crazy because nobody there thought we were supposed to be there. Yeah. And like my coach he's one of the most competitive guys that you'll meet. Like he's about winning. That's all he's about. And so like we were playing there, and Sask was in the national championship for U Sports the year before we played them. And so they were, unfortunately their best player got like injured and stuff, but we played them, and like we played them the last day.
Toronto Raptors them like a little bit.
I mean,
Steph Curry's out, Durant is out. Clay Thompson's out.
I mean, like, I don't know, because we were playing really well.
I'm just
but we were like up 20 on them.
Wow.
We weren't like lose, like it wasn't like close games. Like we had a close game against one of them, but we were beating these teams, and like after that, everybody was kind of like, oh, that was the first instance of like, dang, Keyano's kind of like for real this year, and that's where like the hype kind of got built up. But then we ended up losing that year, so none of that stuff mattered. So
And so who did you play in the final of that game? Was it Saskatchewan?
It was Sask. It wasn't really a tournament. It was more of like you just play the teams, and then the team that wins the most wins, and we just didn't lose. So we went 3-0. So we played Memorial, UNBC, and
Memorial
and Sask.
Didn't Jacob play?
Yeah, Jacob was at Memorial.
Remember telling me about like his coach is giving him a lot of lasagna and like salt beef or something.
Yeah, man.
Maybe it wasn't salt beef, but a lot of lasagna.
I think he said his coach was giving him moose, and he was like, where in the world am I living right now? He was like, take these moose steaks, and then he just had his freezer stuffed with moose steaks, and Jacob's like, that was his first time in Newfoundland. So yeah,
such a classic Navy story. And so like when you and I worked together, where were you playing when we were at summer camp?
Oh, so that was when I was going to York.
Okay.
So I originally signed at York.
Okay.
And that was COVID year. So I went there for a little bit. Season got canceled. I came back home. And then the next year was the year whenever we were summer camp leaders with each other.
Oh, so you had already like spent a year.
Yeah, I had my first year of education at York. And then I went back there the next year. And that was like kind of my first real like college basketball experience and stuff like that.
So were you able to play the team at all like before COVID started?
Yeah, so I was like more of that was a whole different situation, man. York situation.
Whatever you can say.
Yeah. I mean, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, is what I would say. Like for basketball and opportunities, it's like some people want to just like go U Sports, and I think that was like a situation for me where I know I can compete at that level. Yeah. But when I got there, and York is a beautiful school.
It's in Ontario, right?
Yeah, Toronto. Okay, yeah. And it's like massive school, beautiful campus. The gym is great, facilities are great. Yeah. They were just a terrible team, and I wanted to go there because I was like, they're a rebuilding team. This is a team where
you got a 5 year. Is it
exactly
5 years?
5 years. Yeah, 5 years. If you redshirt a year, that's 6 years. And like U Sports, when you're young, you usually redshirt. So I was like, I can go and put in some years, and then by maybe year 1, year 2, I can get minutes. Maybe possibly my rookie year, I can get minutes, and that's what I thought it was going to be. Ended up being a little different than that. I mean, it was still good. A very talented team. Like U Sports, no doubt, and especially the OUA, which is the Ontario Conference, is probably the most skilled in Canada. Like every team,
which is always how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Like those teams it's a super competitive conference. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it was a great experience. I'm happy I went there. But
so you finished. You're playing Father Merck, right?
Yeah,
and then you finish at Merck. You get through the process, so you're there at York in September, I assume? August, maybe?
No, so this is different. I went to a prep school my year after. Right. This is 2019. Yeah. And then that was the year.
Where was that?
In Winnipeg. So I lived in Winnipeg for a year.
But like Winnipeg's like being like the area, am I right? Yeah. Edmonton, every big city has like prep schools, so why Winnipeg?
So prep school, I mean...
Are you in grade 12 or is it like a year after?
So it gives you an extra year. So
because Quebec does CJEP.
Yeah,
is it kind of the same thing?
In a way. Okay. And we played CJEP schools there, but I wouldn't say it's anything like there's no official structure to it. So a prep school, I don't know how it becomes a prep school. It wasn't a specific school. It was almost like it's attached to an institution. So I just went to a regular high school in Winnipeg, and then it had this team, North Star. And a lot of schools are like that. There's some specific ones that are not attached to schools, and they have like more money. But for this one, it was just a high school, and basically it gives you an opportunity to take another year to get seen and to still develop. Kind of gives you like a grade 13 kind of experience to be seen by coaches, and you play kind of just a more competitive pool. And being from Fort McMurray, I mean, I wasn't getting seen here, you know. And
I find like basketball interesting because like right now we've got a kid from our school, Zane Hinkson.
Yeah, I know Zane.
But like, and so the fact that you even kind of know him is because like his parents have been investing like crazy for him to like go down to Edmonton and like play in areas like Portland and these tournaments. So there's like, oh yeah, it's like NBA players' kids there that are playing and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it seems, because I guess not that I was like a great football player by any means, but football seemed like a lot more linear, meaning like you're in high school, your coach has a connection to like a school, and like usually it almost seemed not easier to make a football team, but it was kind of easier to like join that college organization. Does that kind of make sense? Like,
yeah.
If we had football coaches here who would go to Acadia, St. FX, and they'd be like, hey, this guy's good. They'd be like, send him. You know what I mean? But basketball, I feel like there's so much more competition. Like there's like little tournaments all the time that like you're always trying to go to different places to be seen. Do you think that's accurate?
Yes, for sure. Like it's kind of interesting now, like the more that I've got older, I was in the prep school kind of scene, seeing how that's developed, and coming from a small town, and now that Jacob, being a pro, has been over in Europe, yeah, exactly, and watching how they kind of develop their youth, because the way Europe develops their basketball players compared to North America is very different, and you're seeing it now more with like in the NBA and stuff like that.
It looks like the most unathletic man.
Exactly. It's like
it's not about the size of your shoulder muscle or your your. Oh my god, I'm embarrassing myself with my anatomy skills. Your delts, my goodness.
Struggling social teacher here.
Clearly I haven't lifting as much recently. I just exposed myself. But so like, how would it be? Because again, the billion dollar question is like, how do you develop young athletes? And obviously, I don't know the answer to that question. But even just like the first initial instinct, like, oh, Europe and North America does it differently. Well, like, how do they do it differently? And like, why do they do it differently?
So that's
like, I'm not expecting you to know all the answers.
No,
I
don't know all the answers, but I've just from what I've been seeing more of, and just what's kind of going on with basketball now, like you're seeing a lot of the top players in the NBA.
Luka Doncic.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks like a normal guy.
Developed from international countries, and Canada too. Like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of the best,
Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah, best players in countries, Canadian. And you're seeing a lot more of these players come and be top dogs in the NBA, and it's because how Europe develops their players, like practice, like they don't play a whole lot. Like there's a thing in basketball where like Americans are just very athletic, shifty, and like will just burn you. Like they are super skilled, whereas like the Europeans are super fundamental, super smart with the way they move. Everything's very
like the reading is almost the IQ a bit more.
The IQ, the basketball IQ is very high. Not to say that the Americans aren't, but the Americans are very.
They can kind of make up for it.
Yeah. So like, whenever I was in high school, I was kind of like what Zane's doing. He's going down. I went to a couple of those AIU tournaments, and like they're literally just like massive tournaments of just teams, and you just play, and it's just and then coaches watch. Like I remember being almost like overwhelmed because coming from Fort McMurray, this was kind of my first like.
I know you're playing at Westwood.
Yeah, like I'm playing like Westwood. I'm playing Westwood, and then I go to like
dusting them like 100-30.
Yeah, like we go to like Anaheim, and I'm playing like these 15-year-olds that are like windmilling and doing 3-6 like in-game dunks, and like everybody's just talking trash, and like it's just so like American, and there's like Division I schools like on the sideline watching, and it's just like. And that's just like normal. Whereas in Europe, they just practice a whole lot, and it's very skill development. And
so, do you think it would be more like Big Fort Mac in Europe, almost? Like maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, but just meaning like you don't have as many of those like high stakes tournaments all the time.
Yeah,
it's just more like not like it's like when they come together for a tournament, it's like fewer but higher quality kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so, and I don't know exactly. Like I'm not. Jacob would probably understand a bit more because he's kind of more knowledgeable in that aspect because he's been over there and he's got some friends playing over there. Yeah. But I know a couple, like one of his friends, like they develop kind of like in a club, and they play with a team, and then they kind of keep going up in the ranks of the club as they get older.
Do you think they grow with the same people more over there as well? I almost feel like in the US and Canada, people are changing teams like every year.
Yeah, so that was like a big thing with like FIBA. Do you know FIBA? FIBA is like the international
Okay,
of the world. Like when you like Olympics is played with FIBA rules. So the States, like they lost like the FIBA World Cup. Like they didn't win because basketball is like extremely competitive now. And in every country can kind of play. Like Spain has always been good. Like now like Serbia is very good. Canada now is like very good. Like in
the Eastern Europeans are just coming out.
And the States has always been on top, and they still are on top. But you're seeing these other countries play, and that was like I don't know if the Redeem team. That's like a Netflix documentary on the U.S. team that came back to win the Olympics after the U.S. lost the Olympics.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
I feel like I'd watch that, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. That was like when Kobe came on the Olympics, and they had to kind of come back and win because the game over there is played so differently. And those teams, those like national teams, like when you play Team Spain, this is a group of guys that like every year play with each other, and like you can tell that they've been playing with each other for years and years and years, and they're very fundamental. They run sets and they have systems, and their defense it's very different than the NBA, whereas the NBA guys were just based off like with pure skill. They just bunch of millionaires basically come together in the summer and say, let's just go hoop.
Because I've seen like the videos where they're just like going at it in like a random LA gym. These guys are just watching like, oh yeah, there's Kevin Durant and LeBron James just
that's like a lot of people forget too that like all those teams like over there, like those guys are all insanely skilled basketball players that are all playing pro at a very high level, just not the NBA.
So what like, and this is the part I find, because I always say to kids, I'm like, just play a sport. Like, even if you are like not, I think people think that if you don't go to the NBA or you don't go to the NHL, then there's no point in doing it. Which I think is like now, like there's so many like little European leagues, and there's so many opportunities to get involved in like the business of it. Like if you want to go maybe be an agent, or you want to go like Jacob's in Norway, right?
He's back now, but he was in Norway.
But like when he was playing in Norway, it's like, I mean, Jacob's what, like 28?
27.
27?
Yeah.
And then so he can like he's still playing basketball. Like, there's still opportunity to like continue playing this game, even if you're not like in the NBA.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's going to bring opportunities.
Yes.
And it's going to bring life experience. And I think like it's like the classic, like, so there's so much pressure of like, oh, you got to get your life together and you got to like
grow up. I hate that.
And to each their own, for sure, if that like floats your boat. But like, I just think, I mean, a lot of people take life very seriously, and like, I think it's okay. Like, if you love something, Jacob genuinely I genuinely love basketball. Jacob genuinely loves basketball. And he wants to play basketball for as long as he can. Yeah. And, you know,
why not?
He doesn't care what, like, he's playing basketball. He's playing as a professional basketball player. He gets paid. Yeah. He's traveling the world. Yeah. He's meeting new people. Yeah. He's living life. And like, how many people would be like, you know, when they're older, man, I wish I just, all that kind of stuff. And it's
extra 3 years as like a stockbroker.
Yeah, and that just he's in loving what he's doing. Yeah. And
so rivalry question for you here. I remember when Jacob told me when we were at camp together. So I think Jacob and I were both like 21, 20-ish. Yeah. And you were 19, I think.
Was that long ago?
Dude, I know.
No, it was that long ago.
Long time, man. Like the more I've thought about it, like I worked at one camp after you guys left, but like our summer was like 5-6 years ago.
That's insane.
And it's like,
it is
crazy.
Yeah.
But he said, I'm better than Ben, but Ben is better than I was when I was his age.
Yeah.
I think that's still accurate. I think you're better than him. Or what would better mean?
I think I'm better than him.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course. I'm never going to say he's better than me ever. Like what? Obviously he's never going to say that I'm better than him.
No.
All I know is that like me and him, I've growing up, I mean, everybody has siblings. I don't know if people have siblings that are interested in the same thing.
Yeah.
Jacob is a competitor, and I think our family is just competitive. Like my dad or my mom wasn't competitive at all, but the boys were super competitive. So just growing up with like having him as an older brother was like a main reason of like why I have been successful and been able to like push through with basketball. Like basketball is like it's mentally hard too. Like a kind of, you know, sometimes you question like the work you put in, is it ever going to pay off kind of stuff. And like Jacob is a main reason, just because, you know, I'm better. I want to be better than him. He's like the main reason is like I'm going to be better than him. I'm better than him. And Jacob's thing was like, Ben's never going to be better than me. I got to stay working. So, you know.
And so do you have like kind of a similar plan of trying to go over?
Yeah.
To like Europe
I think I want to play for a little bit, but, for me, I'm just kind of focusing on, I don't want to put pressure on that because I want to be successful. I want to be the most successful I can be this next season. This season was rough. Like I was playing really well and I ended up getting concussion. Like right in second semester in that kind of crunch time, and it kind of messed with my minutes and stuff like that, which was unfortunate, but no excuses. I mean, it is what it is, but that's what it was. And so next I'm like, how do I maximize what I can be this next year playing? And that's how can I be the best player? How can I improve the most this summer?
So how many more years can you play at Keyano?
3.
You can play for 3 more years? And do you plan on kind of like riding? I guess maybe the long-term plan, we don't want to like
that's what I'm saying is like I don't know exactly where it is. And I know me personally, like I'm an overthinker. I'm an overthinker, like insane. I have terrible anxiety with stuff like that, like just terrible, and like overthinking for no reason. So I've
preaching to the choir, man.
Yeah, bro, you don't even know, man. We can get into that too, to be honest, and I love talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
But
let's tap into it. So like, why do you think you're an overthinker,
man? So we can get into like my mom stuff too. Absolutely, here. Yeah. So this is since I was a child, I think it was probably due to my mom's cancer, because I grew up like going through school, and then it's weird being a kid and like growing up and kind of realizing things about yourself. And I mean, anybody who knows me or like went to school with me knew that I was like it's like very anxious person. Like, and it was school stress. Like it was a lot on academics, and I was a very smart student. Like I had all 90s kind of thing, but I always had like insane test anxiety for no reason. For like, I knew I was going to get
like a perfectionism, or like
almost in a way. And my mom was diagnosed the second time. I think it was whenever I was in grade 3. And for some reason, like I think back to it, like I had like kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, I was fine. And we used like, you have tests in there, but then grade 3, I guess things kind of, that's the first provincial exam way back when they had the grade 3.
You remember that? It was okay. Yeah.
The grade 3 provincial exam. Yeah. And I remember that was like the first time I felt real stress. And that was when my mom had to, I think that was her second surgery to get her.
And so, cause like, so your mom had cancer for a long time.
Bro, my mom had cancer for a long time.
Yeah. And so like, was it ever like, what was like the first diagnosis with her?
So my mom started with stage 4 breast cancer.
Okay. So like right off the start, like she goes to like get like assessed or whatever, and then they just say that's what they say.
I think they found a lump in her breast. And that's when it's in the lymph nodes.
Yeah.
And then that kind of spread. And after that year, it kind of was how many years was it? I think it was kind of like on a 3-year kind of thing, where it was like that happened. Like I was a baby when she had it. So like that's like a thing we can talk about is growing up with a parent with cancer. My idea of it was I have a parent with cancer. That's it. There was no deeper meaning to what cancer was. I just knew that my mom was sick and I didn't. Like how are you that young understanding what cancer actually kind of is? Yeah. And so I remember whenever I was young and in grade 3, when we had those, that was the first time I really felt anxiety. And that was when I kind of first really saw my mom like sick and had to go through surgeries and chemo and all that kind of treatment. And that was like when I'm talking about very serious anxiety for grade 3 tests, which is very unusual because like I'm talking about full mental breakdowns in class. Like that's when I first started getting accommodations and all that kind of stuff. And that looking back at it, I always thought like I was always hard on myself. I always like would overthink and be like, why was I like that? Like, why was I so, to me, I was like that, like, you're so like weak in a way, soft or something like that. But it wasn't because I was just like that. I think it was something to do with like a trigger from that stress I had at home and not really understanding what was going on.
So do you kind of like remember like how is the stress different than like previous like tests or whatever? Like what was the actual, like what did that stress kind of feel like?
It's very weird. It was almost like I was a big what if. Like I remember always questioning what if I fail? What if I don't do well? And the worst part thing was I was also extremely competitive. So that competitive nature at a young age, like I wanted to have the highest mark in the class. And I literally would like be upset if somebody got a higher mark than me. And I was kind of like psycho in that way, but like I just never understood why I was having that anxiety. And it was almost every test. Like I remember the provincial exams, it took me like, I forget what it was, but I remember like I could never just write fast. Like I did my work at a slower pace than a lot of students. And that since then has carried on with me to now. I still get accommodations in college. So
like, what was because I think because both of us have lost parents to cancer, different contexts, etc. But like, hello again, everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen to our conversation here today. If there are any issues with professional conduct or you would like to share your own story, experience, or have something you would like to contribute to the show, please reach out at mrclarkafterdark@gmail.com or send a direct message on Instagram to @mrclark.afterdark. Hope you all enjoyed, potentially found something of use, and of course, please do not forget to subscribe. See you next time, unless you're scared.